Hi, this is Scott with 4D Tech. Today we are in a 2015 Ford Mustang, and we're going to show you how simple it is to change out the APIM to upgrade this MyFord Touch to navigation. To perform this upgrade, you need a few simple tools. A Phillips and flathead screwdriver, a 7mm nut driver, and some plastic dash removal tools. The 7mm nut driver and the dash removal tools are offered on our website for your convenience. Let's get started. First, we need to remove this piece of trim that runs all along the top side of the dash and along the top side of the screen. To do so, we need to start at this edge and remove this piece of trim. We'll do this with one of our dash tools and use the dash tool to help the clips and pull it off. Next, we want to swing down this small piece of plastic underneath the dash here because it overlaps this. And you can just swing that down and leave it hanging for now. It'll just get clipped back in when we're done. Next, we need to unclip this whole piece of dash. It's all just plastic clips, but the clips are pretty tight on this vehicle. Some of them may be very hard to unclip, and some of them may pop off in the dash, and you'll just have to grab them and put them back on the panel. So we're going to start across the edge here. And it'll be pretty hard to start, but once you get it started, you can use your hands to work your way across and just gently pull out. As I said, the clips are pretty tight, but it will unclip. And then if you have these gauges up here, there's a connector on the back. You push in on the little tab on the bottom side of the connector and unplug it. And we'll move this out of the way. Now we need to remove the top portion of this center console so we can slide it back and get to fasteners that are up here underneath the edge of the dash. First, we pull the sides off of the console. They are just clipped on. This driver's side has the same panel. It's a mirror image. Next, there's two 7mm screws on each side that need to come out. With those 4 screws out, we're going to lift up the cover for the back of the center console. And this has to get unsnapped starting back here and working our way forward. We'll get our clip started at the back here. With it all unclipped like that, there's 2 more clips here facing forward, and you'll just want to pull back on the console to unclip those. It's easier at this point if we just turn on the ignition and slide the shifter back. And then you can shut the ignition off. And now we can slide it back a little bit further to gain a little bit more access. Now we take this rubber tray out of the front tray here, and there's two 7mm screws pointing down that need to come out of this tray. With the screws out, just work the tray out. And there's a little cover plate in between the connectors here. Mine says shaker because this has the shaker audio system in it. Yours may be blank. And just hook your fingers underneath it and unsnap it and move that out of the way also. Now that we got the top of the center console shifted back and these small panels removed to reveal the fasteners, we need to remove the 4 7mm screws holding the bezel on around the screen. With the 4 screws out, we'll unsnap the bezel around the screen. You can put your fingers underneath the top edge here and just pull out, and it'll unsnap. We're just going to pull this bezel outward and tip it down. We won't bother disconnecting it or anything. It's fine to just tilt it down to get the screen out. Next, we need to remove the 4 7mm screws holding the screen into the dash. With the 4 screws out, we'll pop the screen out and turn it around to reveal the connectors. There's just 2 connectors that need to be disconnected. The USB cable here has a clip on the top back edge of it. Push in with your thumb and pull it out. The 54-pin connector, which is the main connector for the unit, has a little lock here that you push in to start swinging this gray lever down. You swing the gray lever down and it pushes the connector out, and you can finish unplugging the connector. Next, what we need to do is remove the APIM, which is the brain of the navigation system. Remove that and put the 4D Tech unit that's navigation equipped on in its place. I suggest doing this on a table on top of the foam that came in the box to protect the screen. For the sake of this video, we will set a cloth in the opening and set the screen in the opening so you can see what I'm doing. We'll need a Phillips screwdriver to take out the 4 Phillips screws holding the APIM to the screen. With the 4 screws out, we simply take the brain and pull it off the back of the screen. With the brain off, we'll grab our navigation equipped APIM from 4D Tech and put it in its place. Now we'll just replace the 4 Phillips screws we took out. With the 4 screws back in, now we need to replace the screen back in the dash with the new APIM attached. We'll need to reconnect the connectors. We'll start with the main 54-pin connector. With the lever fully out, slide the connector into the unit and begin to push in. You'll see the lever start to move a little bit as we push it in. And then take the lever and swing it the rest of the way to the lock. The USB cable, make sure the clip is pointing up and plug that into the USB connector. And we'll set the screen back in place. Now we just need to replace the 4 screws we took out earlier. With the 4 screws back in, we'll clip back in the control panel that we took out earlier. And replace the 4 screws holding that bezel in as well. Next, we need to reassemble the console portion here. So we're gonna put our cover plate back over our screws. Work the tray back into place here. It should just set in the screw holes line up, and we'll replace these 2 7mm screws. We'll set our tray liner back in, take the console, slide it back forward, and we'll push forward till it snaps in. And then just push down, and it all clips back in. Now we'll replace the 2 screws on each side of the console. And then we just need to put our side covers back on as well. Next, we'll need to put this piece of dash back on up here that we took off earlier. You need to plug this connector back in with the tab facing down to plug the gauges back in. Get the panel in place and just snap it back on. It goes back on much easier than it comes off. Then we'll take this small panel and snap it back in place. And this end panel will be snapped back into place as well. And now you see how to replace the APIM to gain navigation in a 2015 Mustang. I'm Scott with 4D Tech. Thank you for watching our video.